So, Victor, in this first class, one of the resources you use is Ian Kershaw's Fateful Choices. And in the class, you point to two of those fateful choices. One was the rise of Churchill in 1940 to leadership in the United Kingdom. That importance has come under some scrutiny lately in a recent podcast episode by Tucker Carlson, in which he has a blogger guest, Darryl Cooper, questioned the importance of Churchill, even wonder whether it was Churchill himself who extended and exacerbated the war in Europe. What are your thoughts on Churchill's role?
Well, I think it's good to have, aired differences of opinion, but there has to be a common set of facts. And in this case, the person in reference apparently wasn't aware of the facts. Churchill came in on May 10th as Prime Minister of 1940. And unfortunately, that was the day that Germany invaded through the Ardennes, and France fell in 6 weeks. At that point, everybody had panicked. The French were frantically saying, we need help. Looked like the British Army at Dunkirk was going to be wiped out. And there were people in his select war cabinet that wanted to find some way to stop it. So they were thinking that Mussolini, who had not declared war on Poland, might be a third party. So this person in question said, well, even Churchill was thinking about. He wasn't. What he said was to members of Halifax and others, if you want to talk with Mussolini, go ahead. And I'm not going to stop it, but it's not going to lead anywhere because they are in a position of strength. What I'm getting at is that of all the people in British politics in the late 30s, Churchill was about the only one who said Stanley Baldwin is going to get us into a war because they were not upping fighter production, bomber production, ship production, and the Army was in dire straits. They were broke, and he was saying that this projects weakness. Well, when other revisionists look at this, they say he's a warmonger, he wants to build weapons, he wants to go to war. No, what he wanted to do was prevent war. The old vegetarists dictate that if you want peace, prepare for war. And so he was the only one who, had they listened to him, they might have been able to deter Hitler. At various times, Hitler, on two occasions, right during the invasion of Poland on September 1st, and he presented the Western democracies with a fait accompli. Then there was a phony war. He stopped. He and Stalin carved up Poland. Then he came over and said, well, I'm willing to discuss it. And Churchill was not a prime minister, but he had a voice. And Chamberlain at this point was, you fooled me so many times. Saarland, Rhineland, Anschluss, Sudetenland, no more. And Chamberlain actually got kind of good. But people look at that and they'll say, see, Hitler was willing to talk. Well, it was sort of like shooting somebody and say, do you want another bullet? I'm willing to talk about a second bullet, third, fourth, fifth. The other time, as I said, that he wanted to talk was after he had absorbed France, the Low Countries. And he had what is now the EU. And there were people saying, the Soviet Union is on his side. America's not going to come in. We're the only people. And he's got the whole continent. And he's got Russia on his side, de facto. Right. And so Churchill said, and that's why you can't talk to him. But then he was the only person that said, how is he going to get to England? He can't. That famous dictum of the First Lord of the Admiralty during the Napoleonic Wars, when they asked him, will Napoleon invade? He said, my lords, I don't know. All I can tell you is he will not come by sea. If you can't come by sea, you can't come. And so at that point, Hitler said, well, I'd like to have some type of arrangement with the British Empire. What he was really saying was, I can't beat them by sea, and I can't get there by sea. I can't beat them by air, and he tried during the Blitz. Therefore, maybe we can have a deal. And that's the way he thought. But if you're someone else who has an agenda, you look at that and say, well, they offered Churchill two types of war. And then the other thing is, he said, Churchill wanted to wage total war. This is after he had destroyed Poland. And as far as terrorist bombing, that was an argument as well. Hitler started civilian bombing by bombing Warsaw. And when he went into the Low Countries, he destroyed 10 square miles in Rotterdam of the inner city. This is before the British started to retaliate. And then when he said, well, the British were trying to fly across the channel, mostly with 2 engine bombers with no fighter escort, then occupied France being intercepted every 100 miles by Luftwaffe bases, then all the way in Germany, and then they had about 5 minutes of gas around the target, and they were very ineffectual. All of left at 39, 40, 41. They were so ineffectual that when we came over there in March, April, May of 1942, they said, daylight bombing, no fighter escort, high level precision with the winds, and it's not going to work. You're going to get wiped out. You've got to go at small groups at night and an area bomb, just get in the area and get out. So, but that cannot be interpreted as a terrorist who, preempts a new tactic to hurt Hitler. It's just absurd.